So I watch Cuties, and I need to wash my eyes out with bleach ASAP. But before we get in that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to A Black Conservative Perspective, aka Liberals' Worst Nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get into it. All right, man. So I literally just finished watching Cuties, the controversial Netflix film about a girl that discovers dancing, and I'm talking about very provocative dancing, and it kind of chronicles her journey through school and joining this dance group and going into this dance competition. And then this girl grows up in a very conservative background, like a Sinhalese, like African mother, Muslim, very religious background. And this is a political and social commentary channel. This is not a movie review channel. I don't really even watch movies like that because I don't really have time to. But I figured I would take time to watch this because of the backlash that I have received on social media, specifically from conservative Twitter, essentially. And it's been accused of basically promoting pedophilia and exploiting and sexualizing young girls. Right, so when I saw that, it definitely was not something that I wanted to watch. But I read more into the plot, and then I thought, okay, like this might be interesting because it seemed like it was focused on the influence that social media places on young girls to do certain things and to look certain ways caused by social media. And I'm like, okay, now that's actually a plot that's interesting, and that's good commentary for my channel because I think that's something that, you know, is very important for us to talk about. Right, I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have right now in society is social media and the sexualization of it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna actually watch it and give it a chance because I think that, you know, if there's a hidden message in here that, you know, people are just kind of overlooking, then it needs to be brought to the light in a way that's bipartisan, right? Left or right. I think that's a message that we both can get behind. So I watched it, and man, it was rough. It was rough. It was really, really, really tough to get through that movie, man. Even just from the beginning, you know, they basically had these young girls that was basically 11 years old, wearing crop tops and, you know, really tight jeans. And, you know, it really just made it hard to focus on what was actually going on in the movie because it was so sexualized. And I think it really took away from what could have been a very important social discussion that both sides could have had and agreed on. I really think this was a missed opportunity. Like, the camera work focused so much on these girls' bodies, right? As they were, you know, dancing and, you know, following the main character through the story. You know, when she danced and stuff, the camera just focused so much on her body, and it just made it so uncomfortable to watch. It really just took away from the whole focus of the movie in the first place, right? So, you know, the young girl, the main character, this 11-year-old African girl, basically I think her parents were separating, and, you know, she was kind of going through that. You know, again, like I said, conservative background. She goes to school, and she's like infatuated with this girl dance group. And again, in the opening scene, I mean, you got these little girls in this dance group that she's infatuated with wearing basically nothing. I mean, there's this, I think she's like Hispanic or something like that, girl that's just really very much sexualized in this movie. And I mean, it's just like she basically wasn't wearing anything the whole time, right? In the whole movie. And it's just so hard to get through, right? So eventually, this girl has a hard time joining this group. And then she eventually, you know, kind of becomes friends with the group. And then they start being influenced by these dances that they see on social media. Now, don't get me wrong, they were already, you know, dressing in a very, you know, inappropriate way for 11-year-olds. I don't understand how you can even sell that plot of them wearing something like that to school, right? I mean, it must be a European thing because apparently it took place in France or something like that. So this must be a European thing. I know they would not be able to get away with that here in America. At least I hope they wouldn't. But anyway, so yeah, they get influenced by these dances on social media that are hyperly sexualized. You know, the things we see all the time, like twerking and things of that nature. And essentially that starts to become more ingrained in their dance, right? So throughout the movie, the dances get more and more and more sexualized, because these girls are basically copying what they see on social media. And I think that's a very important point that could have been drove home, right? The influence of social media on these young girls without the over sexualization of these young girls. And when you look in the background and production of this movie, I mean, like, apparently they interviewed like 650 girls for these roles. And I'm sitting here imagining, like, you went through 650 10, 11, 12-year-old girls and they had to have them dance. I mean, they had to have, like, looked at their bodies to see, okay, like, you know, are they fit for this? Like, hard to imagine how you can produce a movie like this and do camera work like this and just be comfortable with it, right? And I think, you know, that's where the problem comes from, because the actual concept of the movie is not bad. The concept is actually good. It's something that needs to be talked about. But the execution was just so poor. It was so poor. It's almost like you're trying to sexualize these little girls, but and you're hiding behind the whole social media influence thing, instead of the other way around. Instead of saying, you know what, like, we're gonna focus on, you know, social media sexualizing these, you know, young girls, but we're not going to make the movie in and of itself overly sexual because we're using young girls, right? And that's the way they should have approached this movie if they actually wanted to get the desired or the stated impact. Because, you know, I went into this movie with an open mind about the plot and what it was trying to get across, because I didn't want to be biased when I was watching it, but it just didn't do it for me. You know, I just couldn't get to a conclusion that this was mainly about little girls being influenced by social media, because that was really a minor part of the movie. They didn't focus on it enough, as much as I feel like they focused on how the girls looked and how they dressed and things of that nature. And I think that that's what really took away from this, right? And I think that, you know, at first I thought that the right was overreacting, right, to this and not really giving it a chance, which I can kind of see why they would do that, because looking at the marketing for this, Netflix didn't sell it in the right way either. You know, they dropped the ball on that, right? Like, I saw the ending dance scene on social media before I watched it, and I was like, this is wow. Like, I mean, I don't understand how you can even feel okay choreographing something like this. So yeah, I think they missed the mark with this. And again, I'm not a movie reviewer. I just want to talk about the social commentary with it. So do I think that conservatives have a point with this? Yeah. And the reason why I think they have a point is because this movie did a terrible job of trying to bring home a point that I think both sides can agree on, which is that social media is over-sexualizing young women, right? Young girls, right? I think we both can agree on that. But it failed to do that because it almost seemed like they were hiding behind that as an excuse to make a movie that basically promotes pedophilia. Because I don't understand how any grown man can sit through a movie like that and actually come and get the message across without feeling extremely uncomfortable. You know, the liberals are saying, well, that's the whole point of the movie. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. Nah, if it makes you too uncomfortable that you can't even watch it and that you can't even get the main message, then the movie missed the mark. It missed the mark. And people have a right to be upset about stuff like that, because it seems like in our society, they're pushing this stuff more and more and more. You know, I can imagine somebody walking into this movie, right, without having read the reviews or anything like that, just, you know, finding it on Netflix and watching it. It's not going to get the main point, you know, because they're going to be so disgusted and grossed out by, you know, watching a little girl in her underwear twerking. I mean, that literally was a part of the movie. I mean, you have a little girl in her underwear twerking, 11-year-old. I mean, the camera is focused on the movements in her body, and it was just disgusting, man. Like, it's terrible, man. I just can't. But yes, we're in a point in our society where the liberals want you to accept anything. They want you to accept any and everything they throw at you, right? They want you to be okay with filming a movie like this that basically is promoting pedophilia, in my opinion, right? And they don't want you to say anything about it, right? And then another part of that is also, I just find it interesting how the liberals want to make a movie like this or promote a movie like this about social media sexualizing women, when they're the ones that's okay in promoting this sexual fluidity? They're the ones that's like, oh, stop sexualizing us, but they're the one that's like free to tit, doing naked parades, the gay pride parade and the transgender movement, and they've basically over sexualized social media. They've thrown sex in our faces, right? Whether it's talking about the slut movement or even the gay pride movement, that is sexualization. And again, they have thrown that in our faces, and I just find it ironic how they want to make a movie about the perils of social media and its influence on young girls, but yet you guys are promoting songs and artists like Cardi B and WAP that a lot of young girls are listening to and being influenced by. We got presidential candidates interviewing strippers, giving them legitimate voices. Then you're sitting here trying to make a movie that tried to warn me about the sexualization of social media. It doesn't make sense. And that's also why it missed the mark, in my opinion, because the wrong people were making this movie, right? And I think Netflix does deserve a fair amount of criticism for it, because they really just missed the mark with this. And I'm trying to be as fair and honest as I can, but again, I get what they was trying to do. It was just hard for me to get there because it was just a hard movie to watch. It's just, I don't understand how anybody could just sit through that and not be absolutely disgusted and want to wash their eyes out with soap. Also, I don't think it helps when you have all of this Hollywood pedophilia stuff going on, right? With the Epstein stuff and all this other stuff going on. It's like Hollywood is trying to send us a message. So yeah, I'm really disappointed, because I think it missed a very important social commentary that both sides can agree on, which is the sexualization of social media. That has really negatively affected a lot of young girls. It gives them unrealistic expectations about their bodies. I think it, really has a negative impact on the mental state of these young girls as well. And you see it's happening, across schools in America, right? In middle school, especially when girls are going through puberty, boys are going through puberty, they starting to find themselves sexually. Social media can amplify that and make it a lot worse. Right, so I think attention does need to be brought to that, but this is not the right way to do it. And I get it. You want to be provocative. You want to get eyeballs on the screen, but you were so provocative that your message just really missed the mark for a lot of people. A lot of people are not even going to even consider your message because of just how far you went to try to display that message. And I think a lot of people think this is going too far, and that the actual director and creator of this film should be arrested. Some people think that. I'm not really gonna give my opinion on that, because again, I think it was a European thing. So again, in Europe they roll a little differently over here in America. So it was a disgusting thing to watch. So I just wanted to see if the outcry on social media was worth it. And it definitely is. It definitely is worth it. This is not an exaggerated situation. This movie was really hard to watch, especially as a man, right? You felt really uncomfortable watching it. But anyways, that's my take on that. I think that was pretty interesting, right? Some social commentary regarding young girls in school and over sexualization of them. That's something I think we need to talk more about. We need to focus on that, but we need to do it in a way that's not counterproductive like I think this movie is. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.